Section 21. Your reputation is your real estate license, building a professional brand that protects you. Your reputation is your real estate license, building a professional brand that protects you. Ashley had officially been licensed for almost a year. She had survived her first difficult inspection, negotiated multiple offers, completed several closings, and even handled her first transaction that almost fell apart the day before closing. Sitting in Michael's office after another successful closing, she smiled. I finally feel like I'm becoming a real estate professional. Michael laughed. What changed? I know the contracts. I know the timelines. I know the disclosures. I've learned the rules. David walked into the office carrying a cup of coffee. Those are all important, but they aren't what determines whether you'll have a successful career. Ashley looked puzzled. What do you mean? Michael leaned back in his chair. Every agent in Arizona has access to the same purchase contract, the same MLS, the same forms, the same continuing education. So why do some agents build careers that last 30 years while others disappear after only a few? Ashley thought for a moment. They work harder? Sometimes, Michael replied, but that's usually not the biggest difference. He paused before continuing. It's their reputation. The room became quiet. Michael opened a file drawer filled with old transaction folders. I've been in this business a long time. I can tell you which agents everyone wants to work with, and I can tell you which agents everyone hopes they never see on the other side of a transaction. David laughed. You know what's interesting? The agents with the strongest reputations usually aren't the loudest marketers. They're simply consistent. Ashley nodded. So reputation is really your brand. Exactly. Michael explained that consumers rarely remember every detail of a transaction, but they always remember how a real estate professional made them feel. They remember whether phone calls were returned promptly, whether promises were kept, whether explanations were clear, whether problems were handled professionally, and whether they felt respected throughout the process. Long before an ADRE complaint is filed, a licensee's reputation is already being built or damaged, one interaction at a time. Ashley smiled. So my reputation starts before I ever meet a client. It does, Michael replied. Today, buyers and sellers often know more about you before they call than they did 10 years ago. He explained that consumers routinely research agents through Google searches, online reviews, brokerage websites, social media platforms, MLS syndication sites, YouTube channels, Facebook pages, LinkedIn profiles, and other online resources. Every photograph, video, email, advertisement, online comment, and client review contributes to a professional reputation that follows a licensee throughout an entire career. David added, and remember, the internet never forgets. Ashley laughed. I've heard that before. You should, Michael replied, because it's true. He explained that one careless social media post, misleading advertisement, argumentative online response, or inappropriate comment may spread much faster than years of excellent service. While most of these actions may never violate Arizona law, they often become the beginning of consumer complaints, broker conversations, ethics hearings, or licensing investigations. Ashley looked thoughtful. So protecting my license starts long before someone files a complaint. Michael nodded. Exactly. The best complaint is the one that's never filed. He explained that successful Arizona licensees develop habits that reduce risk every day. They communicate clearly. They document conversations. They disclose material facts promptly. They avoid making promises they cannot keep. They ask questions before acting. They involve their designated broker whenever uncertainty exists. Most importantly, they recognize that protecting the public is not simply ADRE's mission. It should also be the personal mission of every licensee. David smiled. I've noticed something else. The agents who stay out of trouble usually have one phrase they say all the time. Ashley laughed. What is it? Let me verify that before I answer. Michael smiled. I love hearing agents say that. It tells me they're more interested in giving the right answer than giving a quick answer. I've learned that throughout this course. The fastest answer isn't always the safest answer. Michael closed another transaction file. Exactly. He reminded Ashley that every section they had completed during the course pointed to the same lesson. Advertising laws protect consumers from deception. Fair housing laws protect consumers from discrimination. Trust account laws protect consumers' money. Disclosure laws protect consumers from hidden risks. Commissioner standards protect consumers by establishing minimum professional conduct. Although the topics were different, the purpose behind every rule remained exactly the same, protecting the public. Ashley smiled. So if I ever wonder what the right decision is, I should ask myself whether it protects the client. Michael smiled. And whether it protects the public. David stood up. That's how experienced brokers think. They don't ask, can I get away with this? They ask, would I be comfortable explaining this decision to my broker, an ADRE investigator, a judge, or a jury? The room became quiet again. Ashley closed her notebook. I think that's the biggest lesson I've learned. Michael looked at her. What lesson is that? My real estate license isn't just a certificate hanging on the wall. It's something I earn every single day. Michael smiled. You've got it. He stood and gathered the remaining files from the conference table. Your knowledge helps you pass the licensing exam. Your integrity keeps your license. And your reputation determines how successful you'll become. Ashley smiled. I think I'm finally starting to understand what it really means to be a professional. Michael nodded. And that's exactly what the Arizona Department of Real Estate expects from every licensee. Real-world Arizona example. An experienced Arizona salesperson had completed hundreds of successful transactions without ever receiving formal discipline. One year, however, several unrelated clients began leaving online reviews, complaining about poor communication, missed deadlines, and unanswered phone calls. Although none of the complaints initially involved fraud or misconduct, the repeated issues eventually resulted in broker intervention, internal file audits, additional supervision, and an ADRE complaint following a failed transaction. The investigation found no intentional wrongdoing, but it reinforced an important lesson. Professional habits often determine whether minor problems remain customer service issues or become regulatory concerns. Broker tip. Every email, text message, phone call, showing, social media post, and transaction either builds or weakens your professional reputation. When faced with a difficult decision, ask yourself one simple question. Would I be comfortable explaining this decision to my designated broker, an ADRE investigator, or a jury? If the answer is no, stop and seek guidance before moving forward. Online discussion question 1. Why is a licensee's reputation often more valuable than any marketing campaign? Model answer. Reputation creates trust, generates referrals, reduces complaints, and strengthens long-term business relationships. Marketing may attract clients, but reputation determines whether they return and recommend the agent to others. Question 2. How can everyday communication reduce the likelihood of an ADRE complaint? Model answer. Prompt communication, accurate documentation, honesty, setting realistic expectations, and involving the designated broker when necessary help resolve issues before they become formal complaints. Question 3. Why should experienced agents continue following the same risk management practices as newer licensees? Model answer. Experience does not eliminate legal responsibilities. In fact, experienced agents are often held to a higher professional standard because of their knowledge and years in the industry.